Okay, I think we're back on YouTube and everywhere. We'll let people trickle back in that were watching before. Just gonna wait a couple of minutes. Ebony and Crystal will be rejoining in a second. I checked. I checked all of the copyright stuff, and they said that as long as you're talking and your faces are showing over everything, and you've edited them down, and you're not just showing the thing, they won't copyright you. So
That's annoying.
yeah.
All right, I
So,
sent it to Ebony.
all right, cool. So I thought I had followed all the rules for not getting copywritten on YouTube, but apparently
They were fast. That's
they were really
irritating.
fast. Apparently I didn't. We'll get links posted out on Twitter and all that shit in a minute, so that people can follow along. But sorry to everyone. I will show still images and not clips anymore, so that because usually what it usually is they have like AI that listens for audio, so it's probably just listening for, like, when it catches the audio, it's doing it, but whatever. So I'll show stills, or I could just even mute it and like jump through it without pressing play on it.
Almost kind of narrate it a little bit too.
Yeah, and we could talk about it a little more. So I'm not gonna let that play. I'm just gonna show pictures, and hopefully that's enough for Nickelodeon not to get mad at us.
And then we'll write Nickelodeon an email and apologize.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I mean, we'll get an email and our shit, and we'll appeal it, and I'm sure they'll be like, "Oh, never mind." But whatever.
Yes,
it's alive, so it doesn't. Them telling us like, "Okay," won't matter. Yes, Sparkles friend, we're back. We should be back up on all of the places now. We got hit with the copyright because Nickelodeon apparently needs more money. It might have been Netflix though, because Netflix is getting ready for their big Avatar.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might have been Netflix. Yeah, but we're helping.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand. Honestly, I don't understand. So what I'll do now is I'm going to put what we were just watching back up, but I'm going to cut the audio and I'm not going to let it play as a video. I'm just going to scroll through it and show still images of things that happened. So we finished the one that we watched, and that was basically Aang ran away, was frozen, and Katara and Sokka found him by accident.
Or was it fate?
It was her ability to water bend that kind of freed him, unfroze him, right?
Yeah. Pretty much it's that she was angry and she was bended, and then the ice broke apart, and yeah.
I can 100% agree, Marsu. I definitely I'm not gonna let the videos play Rapunzel. I'm just gonna scroll through them as clips, like of still images, essentially, because that should be fine to share.
I'll be honest, I think everything was influenced by Wheel of Time. Anything that came after, like, even if they didn't read it, y'all were influenced by Wheel of Time. Somebody.
I really think they might have been. Like, they're right around the same age.
I see it, like, just already in the characters, and even just like the opening and the map. There's so much of it that.
So
they're in their early 40s, like maybe 50.
The other explanation is that we are just so into Wheel of Time. We see it everywhere.
That's true.
This could be true.
So that could be it too. But
you guys, I'm at a record, I think, speaking of Wheel of Time. I currently have 0 paperback copies of the Wheel of Time left in my house because I have given them all out and loaned them all out to people. And I actually have a friend waiting. She's reading another series, and she's like, "Okay, I'll start the Wheel of Time when I'm done with this." So I may have to go buy another one.
That's what I do. I always try to make sure.
The world. Yep.
I always try to make sure I have a paperback of Eye of the World to give people.
Yep. See, I just buy it for people because I'm not giving my books away. But also because I got the first copy of Eye of the World signed by Robert Jordan and a book signed. So nobody had that.
That's cool.
Well, yeah, no, I
got that
my
one
copies
signed by Robert Jordan and a book signed.
Yeah. Oh, so you've got a library.
Yeah. Most of these, by the way, are signed by Robert Jordan, including A Memory of Light. But that's only because I have a book plate in it.
Wheel of Time and Mean Girls. Okay.
It's just all
so-
of it. We need to do an episode of that, of how we see Wheel of Time in all current media. Like, just
Oh my god!
Oh shit, that would be funny.
We can get the chat to like suggest shows and things like that. We can figure out how to tie it to the Wheel of Time.
All right, a side segment for next week will be random shows that Wheel of Time somehow influenced. We'll pick a couple by the end. Chat, tell us which ones we should do, and we'll talk about it.
Well,
because I love that.
Yes,
we should do like a TikTok. Anyway, all right. I have some.
That would be amazing.
I gotta focus.
Write it down. COVID brain. Write it down.
Focus.
Gotta have it for later.
All right. Back to
making
Avatar.
a note. Sorry.
Where were we at? Oh, Aang. Okay. So Aang froze himself in the ice. It was actually 100 years. So one of the things we learned in that video that we were watching that we got copyrighted for was that the masters of the Air Temple felt that there was a war coming. So, and then in that intro that we watched, Katara said it's been 100 years of war. So now Aang has similar burdens placed on him that Rand does. A way that we could talk to people that are in our chat right now that have read Wheel of Time that haven't seen the show, where it's like when he was a kid, it's just, oh, the Avatar is like basically a celebrity who's supposed to bring balance to the world. He's kind of like a diplomat that would get called into things, blah, blah, blah. Still a big deal. You're the only one on the whole planet. You could bend all four elements. Everyone knows who you are. You're a world famous celebrity. Big deal. Like Lews Therin. Except Aang gets to be both, kind of like Rand. Without spoiling Wheel of Time, kind of like Rand. So Rand is also reborn. Lews Therin is more like Aang before he's frozen, where he's the leader of the Aes Sedai and he's like a world famous guy.
Did he intentionally freeze himself, or was it just out of like the sheer emotion and the like escape?
We'll go into it a little bit more, but basically the Avatar, the idea of spirit and rebirth, just like in the Wheel of Time, is strong in Avatar. There is a spirit world, which is basically Tel'aran'rhiod.
Okay.
Aang, people can go there through meditation and stuff. It's based a lot in Chinese culture of meditation and Hindu culture of meditation, Tibetan culture of astral projection, things like that. Aang becomes a bit of an arrogant jerk later on. He does do the thing where I can't click that in the chat, by the way, Aaron. You have to send it to me somewhere else. He hardens himself, kind of like Rand does.
Right. Like
he separates himself.
Yeah.
Right. Well, once he accepts what has to be done.
Yeah.
Right. Then he's like, okay, I got to do this. And that I won't say silly man thing of I'm going to protect everybody by running away.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Yeah. As opposed to talking about how I actually feel.
Oh shit. Who is okay? Hold on. I got the thing that Aaron sent me. It's pretty fantastic.
Aaron, this is great. Yeah, this is phenomenal.
I'm gonna post it in the thing. Oh wow, it's big. All right, I'm just gonna share my screen so you can see it because it's a big image and I actually have to scroll to see the whole thing. And let me share my screen because it's pretty fantastic. First, I want to give a shout out to the person who it is because I didn't even look at who it was yet. So you're gonna see my Chrome bar because that's what it is. Anyway, so this person that did it, it's 9gagger. I don't know who that is, but this is 9gag.com.
What is it on? But what website is it on?
9gag.com.
Okay.
So the image starts off with, it's not easy being Amerlin. I mean, like, I'm all powerful. Yeah, responsibility stinks. And then so this is my favorite character in the series. Her name is Toph. And Brigitte. That's an awesome pairing right there. This is an awesome pairing for Brigitte being Toph. And they obviously agree with me that Sokka is Nynaeve. Toph saying, you're awesome. And Brigitte being like, no, you're awesome. Sokka being Matt is 100%. The only one that doesn't really have a power. I mean, being lucky, whatever, but he doesn't really have a power. He's the jokester. He's a bit of a misogynist, but not really. And he does learn to get rid of that as he gets older. I mean, Sokka starts learning by like episode 4 or 5 of season 1, and he starts getting better. This is Lanfear and Azula. That's great.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Wow.
right.
So Azula is actually Zuko's sister. We are going to meet her. Actually, the hook for the end of season 1 is us meeting her. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Do the colors that they wear represent like the element that they're, for the most part, that they're attached
Kind
to?
of, sorta.
Right, okay.
Kind of, sorta.
Aang is wearing the Air Nomads clothing,
Yeah.
but he's from the Southern
The
Air
air
Temple.
ones.
So
Yeah.
like the different temples might vary a little. Like
Okay.
Katara and Sokka
Yeah.
are from the Southern Water Tribe. There's a Northern Water Tribe too. They look a little different.
Yeah,
and
but it's
then the
still
Fire
same
Nation.
color scheme.
Yeah. So the four different groups is Air Nomads. They're nomadic. They move around. They're very much like the Inuits of the Arctic in the indigenous people of the Arctic in our world.
The water tribes.
Water Tribe, and that's the Water Tribes. The Air Nomads are very much like what you would picture as like a Hindu meditation, Tibetan monk.
Almost like a
up
monastery.
on a monastery on a hill meditating, who's like a weirdo, but also like super wise and funny and probably super powerful, but very nonchalant about it. The Air Nation is based on, I want to say, Imperial China. So I don't remember the dynasties exactly, but it's the imperial level of China.
You mean the Fire Nation?
Yeah, the Fire Nation.
Fire Nation, yeah.
So the Fire Nation is like, they have technology a little bit. They work with, they've discovered kind of how the Chinese discovered gunpowder, and they were some of the first to use like gunpowder in a way of warfare and fighting. That's the Air Nation. They since they can manipulate fire, their ability to mold metal and things like that are a little bit more advanced. So they have tanks and other interesting little things that are powered by bending in ways that only firebenders really would be able to do. And then the Earth Kingdom, it's called, is based on like a feudal Japanese / Chinese, but not Imperial Chinese. There's another dynasty of Chinese that's not called Imperial. It's called something else. Forgot exactly.
I should
what
know
it is.
this because my child studies it. Like this, what age is getting her PhD?
I forgot exactly what it is.
The art of those different like dynasties. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're very much set up like with kings and queens, where they literally have kings and queens. There's an Earth King and things like that, where the Fire Nation is ruled over by the Fire Lord. And he is like, and they worship him as a god, kind of like Imperial China. And the Air Nomads are like a collective of the Air Masters, and the Water Tribe is also a little different depending on the Southern and Northern Water Tribe. But yes, the colors are the same. So like Aang is wearing the orange and yellow. Toph is wearing the green and yellow. All of the people wearing red in this are fire. She is a non-bender. These two are royal family, so they're wearing kind of different stuff. And they are from the Southern Water Tribe.
Okay.
I'm not sure I agree with Ming being like land, but that's fine.
They just did that because they don't talk.
They're both stoic and they don't really talk. Yeah. That's accurate. Yeah. Angst is 100% accurate here.
That angst is on point. That is on point.
And it's funny. I would say this is accurate in their storylines too, where Aang has a lot of Suan's. Yeah. Aang has a lot of Suan's storyline. Some of Rand's too, obviously, because he is the main character. But Zuko crosses over here a lot. Zuko and Aang have very similar storylines, which I love. What else we got? We got
Iroh and Tom.
Suki and Min. Yeah, I think that's Min.
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be, short hair.
I think it's,
It could be Fail, I guess.
Fan.
Oh, no, she's got a fan.
It's Faye. Yeah,
it's
and
Fail.
she's saying dress. She's saying dress.
No.
Never.
Yeah, that's Fail.
Yeah,
Suki
that's
and
Fail.
Fail, 100% agree with.
You know
If
what?
it was Min, I was a
gonna
little.
say, yeah, but no, they do share certain personality traits.
Yeah. Tom and Uncle Iroh, 100%.
Yeah.
Elaine and Tylee, 100%. We're gonna meet all of these characters, by the way, in season 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see this a little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
1 second.
All right. Yeah, but then we'll have to save that and come back.
I'm gonna save this definitely. And this guy we're gonna meet at the end of season 1. I'm not sure about this one either, but you know what? We can make a decision for later because we're gonna meet him at the end of season 1. So we'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
So that's Moraine and one of the masters in the Northern Water Tribe. Min being a fortune teller's apprentice and Katara being a floozy in season 1. Yeah. It was a little bit of a fun. So do you have any more questions before I throw up
Not
another
currently.
Flip? Okay. So
Feeling
one
a
of the
little overwhelmed by characters, but it's
yeah, that's fine. I mean, we just went through a whole bunch because of that thing. I wasn't planning on doing that.
Yeah. But you'll catch on. Trust
okay,
me,
here
you
as
can
a
make
palate
your way
cleanser.
through Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I was going to share this at the beginning of the episode when we were recapping what we've done in the last week. But I didn't because we kind of jumped right into this. But seeing as I'm not going to be able to go through all the clips, so technically I don't have to we don't have to play them. So it's going to be less time. It's just going to be us talking and not playing the clips. I have more time now. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about wanting to do a thing. I did it. I waxed my head. Everyone said I should take it.
It looks shiny.
It I actually went to that place that sells makeup, Sephora.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Sephora is one of them. Yes.
Yeah. And I went in and I was like, I don't know anything about makeup. I do YouTube shit, and when I sit in front of the ring light, my head is shiny as fuck. I don't want it to do that anymore. And they were like, I got you. So anyway, I have clear powder, it's called. On my head.
Yes.
So it's a little less shiny than it should be.
I will say that is about as much as I do with makeup is clear powder on days where my face is shiny. That's about all I got. That's all I got.
And I didn't actually, I usually have cocoa butter on my skin because that's how my skin stays smooth.
I was going to say, because you know to moisturize.
I moisturize. I my best friend, and I feel a little bit icky saying this, but it's not. I mean, Ebony, you tell me. My best friend growing up, and it kind of goes on with Black History Month. My best friend growing up was black. So a lot, and I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. So a lot of my early childhood, I was the only white kid around, and I used to hang out at his house all the time. So his grandmother used to just slather us both up.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And his grandma in 1994 was 60. So she was from the 1920s or the 1930s. She used to slather us in cocoa butter,
yes. And I just want to say right now for the public to know: do not use Palmer's cocoa butter, or not. It's not Palmer's. It's a woman's name on it, but it comes in a big tube. Just don't use it. Jergens with cocoa butter and it's fine. That's
what I use. Or Vaseline with cocoa butter in it.
Right, but just use something with cocoa butter, y'all. I'm telling you.
100%. I did construction and weightlifting my whole life and played football, and my hands, while calloused, are still soft. And I owe that to Gwen Davis, who is an amazing woman.
Yeah, it's the nectar of the gods. I'm telling you.
It's true. Though she did try to kill me once with potato salad.
What she feed you? I was gonna ask you what she fed you. I knew it was food.
It's the mayonnaise. But anyway, so I taped it.
Oh God.
Oh God.
This is a little tidbit. I have more coming. This is just one little tidbit. Okay. It's the first one I did actually.
Pull off quickly.
Oh my God.
So as a palate cleanser, just to get out of the avatar for a second.
There you go. Okay.
I will be posting those on my personal TikTok later. I have to edit the videos. It took me a little while to wax my whole damn head.
I'm sure. And just think of where some people wax.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I can only imagine how that feels. I mean, it hurt.
It would be both because it's not that serious.
Yep.
But it wasn't like the worst ever. All right, anyway, back to Avatar. So I'm gonna present again, but Nickelodeon, YouTube, I'm not gonna play the clip. I promise. I'm not gonna present it as a video file. I'm just gonna share my screen and pause the videos, and we'll just talk about them as we go through them. So let me get the videos up, and then I can share the window that they're in. Where is it? I think this is it. Why are you doing this to me?
Hey, can I sidetrack us since we're? Oh
Sure.
no, he's got it. Nope,
No,
I'll
no.
ask later. It's in my brain. I'll ask later.
Yes.
You sure? It was 100% about Jordan Con, so I'm kind of like stressing out in a good way. Like, how do I
Don't
do
stress.
all of the things? Like, when do we get a schedule? I want to know. I want to do all the things.
So number one, you will not be able to do all the things. So get
I
rid of that
know.
thought right now, because that
Okay.
makes you not have a good time. 2, absolutely, there's going to be at least 2 panels scheduled at the same time that you want to go to, and you're not going to be able to do it. And my suggestion is you find a buddy who wants to go to that other panel, and then y'all download to each other.
Okay.
The schedule is usually like 2 weeks out if we're lucky.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be in the app. Like, they'll have you download the app. I think we're using the same one that we used last year. So there's an app that you can download, and you can go through and you can pick which things you want to do, and you can kind of look at it all. Like, yes, you can kind of look at everything, but also when you get there, they also have paper forms. But I strongly suggest, once stuff is uploaded into the app, looking at it. But remember that you need to eat, and you cannot do everything.
We go over that in opening ceremonies.
Right. Okay. Make time to go to the vendors hall. Make time to go to the art show. Also, however much money you think you need. Yeah, you need to budget, number one. However much money you think you need, if it is fiscally responsible, add half to it.
Okay.
The art can be expensive, but it's great. All of the art in my house is from Jordan Con, essentially.
Right. But I say only if it is fiscally responsible. Like, if you think you're going to need $100, take $150.
Okay.
But make sure that you set a budget for art. Like, this is what I'm going to spend on art. Because we have vendors that aren't art. Like, Leia's there with her stained glass. Like, people are there with corsets. Like, people are there with.
There's actually, like you said, Leia with her stained glass. You could sign up to take stained glass classes. They have a couple of things like that. Yeah.
That's what got me stressed about the schedule.
Okay. Well, so that sign up goes quick.
Yeah, I posted a link to jordancon.org, which has links to all of their social media. So if you are going to JordanCon, which is a great segue, by the way, and I'll get to that in a second. If you're going to JordanCon, follow their social medias for their schedule, because, like Ebony said, those classes do go quick because the teacher only has so much room in the class. So it's usually about between 20 and 35 people.
Also, a lot of the workshops, there is an additional cost, and those teachers usually take cash. They usually want cash.
Okay.
Yeah, so the additional cost doesn't go through JordanCon. Right. And no one makes money at JordanCon. JordanCon is a 100% volunteer organization. No one gets paid. The only people we pay are the hotel and the professionals who attend the convention in a professional way. We don't pay for guests or anything like that, but, like, if we pay for a catering of something or something like that. Right. But the money that they collect in those classes is usually just to cover the supplies, like stained glass, the glass and the wrappings, and
which is also why there's a limit to it also. But
then the other part. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom. I was going to say, if you plan on doing any kind of workshop class, make sure you just have cash on hand.
Yeah, because they only take cash.
They're going to want cash because they only take cash. But everything else in JordanCon is cashless.
Yeah, like the art show that we run is card, 100% card.
Okay.
Right. The JordanCon store, the charity auction, all of that.
Yeah, we actually do the auction on through a website.
Online, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be there to participate, but there's a lot of cool shit there. A lot of cool shit. There's usually a book plate. Robert Jordan's estate always donates a pointy thing of some kind for Robert Jordan's armory.
So that is the other thing, and they will. Hopper will probably start sharing some things he has, but there's always something incredible in the charity auction. So,
Yeah.
like, if you
They
have
raised almost
this, like,
20,000 right last year from
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
Emily
yeah,
Joseph's research.
it was a lot. But just like go there, like just be fiscally responsible is what I tell
Okay.
people. Like, don't not
So-
pay your rent.
Oh, Aaron's telling us that we should
Oh yeah, go back.
we should save it for a panel for another time. When I moderate panels, that's what I do. When we get off topic, I go, and we'll do that as a panel for another time.
Sorry, Aaron.
To segue back to Avatar, though, one of the other things that's really cool about JordanCon is it's not a Wheel of Time convention. It is a science fiction and fantasy literature convention themed for the Wheel of Time. So there are like 8 tracks, I think. Science fiction, fantasy, art. One of them is Wheel of Time. Sanderson, the Cosmere, I think it's called. You will, and a writer's track, like actual being an author and publishing.
Yeah.
Look at
But I would say almost every year. I know last year and the year before there was an Avatar: The Last Airbender panel in the fantasy track.
Okay.
We do comparisons, and I'm sure with the Avatar show coming out, the live action show, there will be one. This is the live action. So
wow.
From left to right, Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko.
And Sokka does look slightly off.
Yeah, looks weird.
He looks slightly off with.
Sorry,
Well,
there was a little bit of a controversy surrounding this actor who's playing him. Some people thought that he had lied that he was indigenous, but apparently he's from a tribe that is not federally recognized. But that's because they were probably wiped out by genocide that the Europeans committed.
Now, the only reason I said he looked a little bit off is because my older kids who watched the show growing up was like, I don't like the actor they picked for Sokka. Like, I don't like his look. So because I didn't know about any of the controversy, I was like, that doesn't seem quite right.
I'm cautiously optimistic for the show.
That live action, yes.
The one thing that had me a little worried, I was optimistic, and then I saw an article come out a couple of weeks ago where the showrunner, I think, for the show said that they were trying to appeal to original Avatar fans and Game of Thrones fans.
And those are not the same people. A lot of those are not the same people.
So I don't want to try to hypothetically talk about why that is.
Yeah,
but,
we're not going to talk about that.
I mean, look at this picture. It looks great. That's Appa. It looks like either Earth stuff or maybe an air thing behind them. I'm really excited.
It looks like them leaving. It looks like them leaving from the air temple.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it as we do these recaps. But whatever.
We will.
All right, let's get back to these now. So these are a little out of order in here, but I know what the order is because I numbered them. So we just watched Aang's backstory. So the next one is going to be Aang meeting the village, which is this one. And I'm going to pause it. So one of the big themes for this show is that Aang is a jokester. And he likes... Yeah, he's a kid. He's a child. He's 12 years old. He likes to explore and he's a nomad. So like he comes from a culture that is ephemeral and doesn't stay nailed down in one place. So the very first thing that he asks her here is, oh man, I really want to play it because the comedy in this show is so great. But anyway, I'm not gonna. He says, he gets this smiley look on his face and he goes, "Do you want to go penguin sledding with me?" And I don't have any stills of that because I cut it out of the thing so that it would be a shorter video. But sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. But they literally go penguin sledding. Like they lay on the backs. You know how penguins slide across the snow?
Oh yeah.
They do that, except they're on their backs. It's
but
pretty
cool. Penguins, what? They're not just penguins. Are they? I want to say they're penguin bears, but I don't think they are.
I think they're penguin owls.
I think you're right. I think that they are penguin owls. Yeah.
I think they're penguin owls. I'll get a picture of them penguin sledding since we're not going to be able to look at it. But I think they're penguin owls to be 100%. And they have 4 flippers, like 4 wings.
It's an otter penguin.
Otter penguin. Okay.
Otter penguin.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
There's weird combinations.
But
it's a lot of fun.
That makes sense. An otter to penguin, like Maybe the otter's a summer version of a penguin. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're both cute.
I particularly love the duck turtles. I really love the duck turtles a lot. But anyways, this is like a cultural thing that people in the water tribes do, like the Arctic water tribes do, is they go penguin sledding and they, you know, they eat most. Oh, another thing is Aang is vegetarian. Most of they're heavily influenced. The air nomads are heavily influenced by Hinduism and Tibetan. So there's a lot of Aang and most of the air nomads. I'm pretty sure all of them are vegetarian. So Aang is a vegetarian. Sokka and Katara are very much not vegetarian. Because
especially Sokka. Especially Sokka.
Yeah, he loves meat. And that is another reoccurring joke throughout the thing. So yeah, they want to go penguin sledding. So she's like, yeah, sure.
Well, but Sokka is the overprotective big brother. It's like, you don't know this guy.
Man, also not just big brother. This comes in, his misogynism comes in a lot in this first episode, but by episode 3-4, he starts getting much better.
Okay.
Yes.
Aang's immediate concern, by the way, which I totally approve of, is Appa.
Yes,
so he's like, oh my God. And then he jumps over this hill and he's like, yay, Appa, you're okay. And that's Appa, his air bison. They talk and he's like, this is Appa, my flying bison. And I left this joke in because I love their jokes in this. And he says, yes, this is Katara, my flying sister. Then they travel to the another thing is he can't get Appa to fly because he's tired. So like Sokka doesn't believe that he could fly at this point. Aang passes out because he's tired. They get back to the village. So Aang is in his village right now. You see that he has tattoos over his whole body. So those tattoos actually start from the center of his back. Yeah, very much chakra aligned. So in his chakra focal point, travel up his back, over his head, down his arms, down his legs. So she's seeing them and she's like, that's weird because we've grown up 100 years of very few, if not no, air nomads. We'll get to that in a minute. So this is their village. Pretty small.
Wow, yeah.
And they talk about that pretty much here. When she introduces them, she says, Aang, village, this is Aang, this is the entire village. So when we meet them, you can see here, all of the adults are women. The only other men here are Sokka and a few young boys.
Children.
Yeah. And if you remember the intro, all of the men went to war with the Fire Nation. So the war is still very much happening, but the Fire Nation is very much winning. Winning
right now. Okay.
And if you have any questions or anything, interrupt me. Tell me to stop talking.
No, I
will. So here we get introduced to Kama, who is Gran Katara and Sokka's grandmother. That's her right there. She's kind of the matriarch of the village. And then she says, we haven't seen an airbender in a really long time. We thought they were extinct. And he's like, what? And he's like, oh, look, I have this cool thing that I can do. And he entertains the kids, which is another thing that's and I thought you would appreciate that as being a teacher. He's very cognizant of the things that he does in front of people and understands as being the Avatar, people are looking at him. Now, no one here knows he's the Avatar yet. They just think he's an airbender. So here he goes. Right. He's controlling the air currents under the glider to fly. He flies around and then crashes into a wall because that is the theme of...
Because he's a kid.
Because he's 12.
Yeah. The next immediate
and
scene,
they do that just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next immediate scene is them going penguin sledding. And whilst penguin sledding, Katara tells Aang that she's a waterbender, but she doesn't know how to bend because she's the only waterbender in the entire Southern Water Tribe. The firebenders, the Fire Nation, killed all of the other benders, including her mother when she was a child.
Wow.
And Aang says, well, I need to go learn waterbending. We'll find you a master too. Let's go to the Northern Water Tribe. So he's not worldly in that. I mean, he has traveled all over the world as the Avatar. When he was a kid, like he went around to different nations and learned. So he has this worldliness about him that's a little bit of later Rand. So we go from Aang in that flashback being kind of loose Theron in the sense of the responsibilities he has. He doesn't have very many.
Yeah.
He just is a celebrity, essentially, and a diplomat. Thrust into 100 years later, where the entire world is in turmoil, and now the freedom of all of the people in the entire world depend on him. And another really fun reoccurring theme, which I'm not going to get to play here, is not blaming. Like Rand talks about, we're not just saving the Earth Nation and what's left of the Aero Nomads, which is none, just Aang. And the Water Tribes, we have to save the people of the Fire Nation too. All of the people in the Fire Nation are not evil, and that's a theme that that is very, very strong in Avatar. It goes in a little bit in this first season. They end up meeting like a really cool ragtag group of kids that are kind of like Robin Hood in the wilds, wreaking havoc on firebender army stuff. And also a trans character, Ish, a male presenting female character, and they talk about that a little bit, and it's done in a very thoughtful and respectful way that is appealing to children and adults. So it's really good with that. But they basically want to flood a town because there's a Fire Nation base there, but the entire town of people is there. And Sokka, who hates Fire Nation people because they killed his mother, he thinks they killed his father, ends up saving the town, and in turn, all of the Fire Nation troops, because he has to go there and tell them that the town is going to get flooded because this group of people is going to blow up a dam. We will meet that character in season 2. His name is Jet, and his little group of ruffians. You'll meet them; they're fantastic. And again, really fun, memorable Jet. Side characters.
I do want to say one difference I think between Aang and Rand is the fact that Aang knew what he had to do, right? Like Aang, they know they had a plan for the Avatar, right? Like it was an expected thing that happened on a pretty regular basis. So it's not like he was like, "You're the Avatar. We don't know what to do with you." It was like, "You're the Avatar. These are the things you need to do." Where Rand was like, "It's you, dude." I don't know how you're gonna do it, but go do it.
Yeah, and here,
so that is
his reincarnations were real people that everyone remembers because they were people that were alive. So like Avatar Roku, which is the guy that I pinged in the intro, they showed him. I said it'll be important for later.
Yeah.
He was the Firebender Avatar right before, or the Avatar born into the Fire Nation right before Aang. He's only been dead for. I mean, when Aang was born, he was only dead for 12 years, so that's recent. Now it's been a little removed from people, but the last earthbending one is Kyoshi. She's a and it's a female.
I love
and
Kyoshi.
She's very Kyoshi. Yeah, she's very important, and she comes up a lot. I don't remember the waterbender's name, but he was a male from the Northern Water Tribe, and he's very important. And comes up a lot. So it's interesting stuff because Aang can actually go to these areas where these people lived and learn from them in some cases. So this is the end of the first episode. Actually, hold on. I want to play one more video real quick. So we watched a thing where Aang broke out of the ice. Now, the very next thing that we see is this. Zuko seeing this. Zuko is, like we talked about, one of the main antagonists of the show. At this point, this is the first time we're meeting him. So he says, "Oh shit, look at that powerful thing. That had to come from a powerful bender. I finally found the Avatar." His uncle's like, "The Avatar's probably dead. That's probably just the Northern Lights. Come drink some tea with me." He loves tea, by the way, and playing games. Mostly Pai Sho, which is the
Always with the T.
Go-like game. Yeah,
Me too.
Yes.
The Go-like
Mhm.
game that they were playing
And
earlier.
Mahjong,
But I
too.
think he's playing Mahjong
Yeah.
here, or a version of Mahjong. So he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, we got to go, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, just drink some tea, chill out. And he calls him Uncle Iroh, and he calls him Prince Zuko. And he says, I have to find the Avatar. So set a course for the light. Then the next, after they get back, while they're penguin sledding, the Fire Nation attacks the village. Aang goes with the firebenders, and Sokka and Katara rescue him. Now they find out while rescuing him that he's the Avatar. So they run away so that they know Zuko is chasing them. So anywhere he goes now, he's bringing Zuko. So they can't go back to the Water Tribe village where they just came from because he's there. So they need to run away to at least lead him away. But they can fly, and the firebenders are on a boat. So they have a little bit of advantage. So that's what happens here. They're like, "Oh, you didn't tell us you're the Avatar." He's like, "I know. I didn't want to be." And then they're like, he busts out this map, and this is where his playfulness comes in. He's like, "I want to go here and surf on the giant koi fish, and then I want to go here and look at the kangaroo llamas, and I want to go here and do this, and I want to go here and do that." And that's the theme of the show: is this exploration and learning through exploration.
Oh, Rapunzel has a very good
Yeah, this is what I was.
parallel. Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to the death of the dragon. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very accurate. That's very accurate. All right, where are we going from here? Oh, okay. So the next video I had to play after I showed you Zuko was and why I stopped presenting, I don't know. Was Zuko's backstory. So we saw Zuko had that big ugly scar on his face. So again, that becomes it's because I closed the window by accident. Anyway, that becomes a theme of.
Did we already talk about why the war? Like, why did they go to war?
Not yet. That comes in in the the next in two more little clips that I have.
Because they had been,
or at least we'll talk.
this.
You know what? Let's go into that now. Let's go into that now. So
yeah.
Aang isn't told that the war is happening. He's just told that he's the Avatar early. He knows that it's been early, and his mentor, the person who's tasked with his, he said, as long as I'm his guardian, whatever, that guy. His name is Gyatso.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to, not rush him into things. But they didn't tell him that a war was coming. So Aang runs away, gets frozen, 100 years pass. So one of the first places they go is this place, but we're not going to press play here. So obviously one of the first places Aang wants to go is his air temple. Katara tells him here, I want to prepare you for what may be there because the Fire Nation is horrible. So just be prepared for what we may find. That's what she tells him. He's like, we're going anyway. They'll be fine. They get there. Sokka's like, I'm hungry.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
If you remember when we last saw this, like when we saw the flashback, there was airbenders everywhere and those flying little lemur guys and the air bison and people, life. It's very desolate now, obviously. It's beautiful though. Let me see if I can get a
wide shot.
Yeah, I have. There you go. So like you can't even see the whole thing here. We'll see it in a second, but it's beautiful. And they're on mountain tops that you can pretty much only get to if you can fly. So anyway, they go here. He says, oh, look, this game that we used to play is over there. It's called Airball. So Sokka tries to play with him, gets blasted out of it. He says making Aang feel better is painful to me. When he's in the brush there, he finds a firebender helmet. Ooh. And they're like, do we tell him? I don't know. So he's coming. They decide Katara just hides everything by throwing snow, bending the snow because snow is frozen water, to hide it. And they choose not to tell him there. Then we go into the temple. Gyatso has a statue there because he was one of the most powerful airbenders ever. And he was one of the leaders at the time when the air nomads pretty much were all killed. Like, we can confirm that now. But we have a little flashback here of the two of them talking. Gyatso says something really poignant here that I'm going to play anyway, just because I don't care. Oh, no, I can't because I don't have the audio. I shut the audio off. Let me see if I can just.
Oh, okay.
He tells, because he says, I don't want to be the avatar. And he says, we must not act on what we want. We must act on what is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of really interesting wisdom that they sprinkle in throughout the thing. Then they have this fun little thing where he's teaching him an airbending move, and they throw the pies off the ledge and they land on the dudes. So you see that they have this powerful relationship, and then the flashback ends. They go into this. In that flashback, he also tells him, when you're old enough, we'll bring you into the Air Temple Sanctuary and you'll learn about being the Avatar. This is the Air Temple Sanctuary. It is filled with statues. And this is where Katara notices, oh, look, that's an airbender. This is a water tribe person. This is an Earth Nation person. And this is a Fire Nation person. It's lined up in the Avatar cycle. Oh, these must be past avatars. These are all your past lives. So they figure that out. He goes up to the Avatar that's the statue of Roku and is just like, oh, that's Avatar Roku. And they're like, there's no text here. How do you know? And he's like, I know.
He just knows. Yep.
Yeah. So then they're hiding. They think a firebenders coming, but it's just a monkey lemur.
Aww.
Yeah, they could fly too, or they glide.
And he adorable.
I want a monkey lemur.
He is one of my favorite characters.
One of the most adorable, and he's
so
Momo
good.
Is so adorable. I would get one in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%. When we finish our stream tonight, Google Momo's song. He has a there's a by the way, back to what the fuck Elise's best things about the show. Best, most gorgeous score ever. Absolutely. The music in this show is fantastic. But this song is just fun.
Killed our vibe. It was nice. I like it.
Yeah, I know. But the music for Momo is just fun, and it always plays when Momo does something. Gets up to hijinks. He does a lot of hijinks. So Sokka obviously wants to eat him.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Aang is like, no, I'm a vegetarian. Plus, he's so cute. You're gonna be my new pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the air temple, by the way.
Wow.
So there's a montage of chasing Aang and Sokka, pushing each other. Aang can fly though, so can the lemur. So there's not much.
God, his ears.
Yeah, I know, they're so cute. He's also kind of like a cat. Like, he has the personality of a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys, okay, so I got sad earlier today.
He is 100%
They would have
perfect.
been my dog Momo's 12th birthday had he not passed away earlier this year, and he had these radar ears that were just like that when he was a little puppy. Like, his ears were as big as his full-grown self when he was teeny tiny, and that looks just like him.
All right. Well, on that sad note, he's still chasing him because he wants to adopt him as a pet.
Yes.
And whilst chasing him,
Elmira.
He ends up in this little area and he sees a huge pile of dead Fire Nation soldiers. Like, there's if you stop and count, there's a lot of helmets. So if each one of those is a whole person, there's probably like 30 or 40 just dead in a line here, which is crazy. And at the head of it is a skeleton, and he's wearing Monk Gyatso's symbol that he wore around his neck, and same missing teeth. So Monk Gyatso. He gets very sad, obviously. When Sokka comes to check on him, he's glowing again. So at this point, we've learned that there's a thing called the Avatar state. When he does that, essentially,
I will say, I used to just call it going glowy.
Yeah, he goes going glowy. But essentially, all of his past lives merge. So this is kind of fully realized. Imagine if Rand wasn't always pushed together with Lutheran, but if he trained enough, and also at times of great need, or if he's in a lot of danger, like through reflex, he can just tap into that knowledge and power whenever he wanted, and can do that. So at any time, if he learns to control it, but at this point now of times of great emotion or great need, he will go into the avatar state, and he gets the memories of every avatar, the abilities of every and there's thousands, if not tens of thousands. And all of them were masters of all of the bending arts. So that's big deal. His power also goes up 1,000-fold. Like, he's probably the most powerful of almost every bender. He's definitely the most powerful airbender, and he's at the top of the other three. There's more powerful earthbenders, more powerful fire and stuff, but he's at the top. So he goes into the state, causes a huge explosion. He almost blows them off the thing. Katara tells him, you know, everyone might be dead. I know that pain. But we're your family now, essentially. She's able to talk him down. It's a beautiful scene. The music is great. I can't play it. I'm going to press play for a second here. She holds his hand. Oh, whoops. Aww. So she grabs his hand. He collapses. They have a bonding moment. It's cute. Then we end on a great note, which is Sokka finally got some food.
Oh, good. Not
Momo. He introduces Momo to the group, and he tells Appa and Momo that they're the last of the Air Nation, and they're going to keep it going, and it's very uplifting. He says, okay, I'm going to name him Momo. And then he jumps off Aang's arm, steals Sokka's food, and that's how we end the episode.
Oh.
So it's very cute.
Yes.
So that's where the glowing comes from. That's where the war comes from. The why still hasn't come up yet. Okay. It'll come up in a second. We're gonna, not in a second, but in maybe 5 more clips, we'll get there. So now, I want to go back to Zuko again for a second. We saw Zuko before, got the big fire on his face. He's searching for the avatar with his uncle. This again is an exposition, and the cinematography in the show, the director is fantastic. This exposition is happening at the same time as that Aang one, where he discovers he's the avatar.
Okay.
So Katara and Aang are talking in the cave, where Aang is telling Katara about when he was told he was the avatar. And it goes back and forth between that and Uncle Iroh quelling some of the ship's crew who are complaining about Zuko being obsessed with the avatar by telling them why. So they're complaining about Zuko. Iroh comes down and goes, let me tell you a story. So this is Zuko, young Zuko. He wants to go in and listen to a war council because the war has been going on for 100 years. This is now. He's very much brainwashed at this point that the Fire Nation is good and they're bringing the love of the Fire Nation to the world. That's where he is right now. And he wants to go in and listen to this war council. They won't let him in.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh's like, it's boring. And he's like, but I'm going to lead this nation one day. I need to learn. And he's like, all right, let's go in. So while they're in there, the general is like, we're going to sacrifice this group of new troops as a distraction so that we can wipe out the Earth Nation army in this one spot. And Zuko's like, absolutely not. They're our troops. They love our nation. You're just going to sacrifice them like that and not tell them, like, you can't do that. They all get mad. The Fire Lord is on this stage in the background, in this, like, on this dais behind this wall of fire. Uncle Iroh tells him basically that he disrespected the general. So the only answer is a fire duel, which they call an Agni Kai, which I think just means firefight and I think it's Hindi. Anyway, when he sees who he's fighting, it's not that old general. It's his dad, because he disrespected the Fire Lord by talking out in his chambers. His dad forces him to fight. He says, I don't want to fight you. You're my dad. And his father says, you dishonor the family, you dishonor the Fire Nation, blah, blah, blah. You're disrespectful. I'm going to teach you respect. And he burns his face.
The crazy one in the front.
Azula, that's his sister. So this is when his face is being burned. And this gives you everything you need to know about these 3 characters.
Mhm.
That's his sister. This is one of the lead generals in the Fire Nation army, and that's his uncle, who is probably the strongest firebender alive right now and one of the most respected generals,
Yeah.
but he's retired. Yeah, ever. But he's retired because he's old. So
And like
the dude is like, oh, I always thought Zuko just had a training accident. I'm like, no, his dad burned his face because he's terrible. And then we cut to Zuko sitting in his room, but that's Zuko's backstory essentially. So Zuko, so then his dad also banished, like in that scene when they're fighting, he burns his face and then banishes him and tells him, you know what? I'm going to send you on a fool's errand. And this is actually kind of like in the show A Wheel of Time when they send people on the hunt for the horn, but it's not really a hunt. They know the horn doesn't exist, whatever. He's like, the Avatar's been dead 100 years. Yeah, go find the Avatar, Zuko. Then you can come back home.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his dad tells him to do that. That's why he's obsessed with it. And at this point, no one believes the Avatar is alive, except Sokka, Katara, and the few people they've met. And now, Zuko and his ship's crew. So they get up to some hijinks. I'm not going to show the entirety of both episodes, but the Avatar, kind of like the Dragon Reborn, is the balance. Balance is a big theme in the Wheel of Time, big theme in Avatar, but it's overt. They talk about it a lot. But it's not just balance in the world, it's balance between the spirit world and our world. Spirits are real.
Yeah,
there's spirits of the forest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's this episode. So one of the places Aang wanted to go, he goes there, it's burnt down. He's sad. Katara's like, look, there's acorns. This forest will grow back. Momo is eating all the acorns in the background of this scene. It's a very heartfelt scene where she's telling Aang, like, don't worry, the forest is going to go back. And in the background of them talking is Momo shoving acorns in his mouth. Hilarious. Anyway, they get met by a village, get a side quest. A nature spirit's been attacking our town and stealing people. That's the nature spirit.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's real. Like, it's not a fake thing. It is a real thing. And one of the Avatar's responsibilities is basically a Ghostbuster. Who are you going to call when the spirits are up to no good? The Avatar. And they're like, hey, you're here. Fix this shit. He has no idea what to do. He accidentally astral projects while fighting the ghost. He gets stuck in astral projection form, doesn't know what to do, and calls out to Roku. He's like, Roku, help me. At that moment, a fucking spirit dragon shows up. And he's like, oh, you're Roku's animal companion, like Appa's mine. And, he can't talk. He's a dragon. So he's just like, oh, you want me to come with you? Cool. They go to the fire temple that's dedicated to Roku. And Roku shows him this comet. And the dragon's like, doesn't say anything, but he's like, Roku wants to talk to me about the comet. And he says, how do I talk to him? And then the dragon shows him light coming through this crystal and shining on the wall next to the statue. And then shows him visions of days passing and the light moving around. And then he goes, oh, so when the light touches the statue, I could talk to Roku. I have to get here. Now they have a new quest. We go back here. Aang tells the spirit, don't worry, look, acorns. Katara told me, don't be sad. And he heals the spirit. The spirit picks it up and he's like, oh, okay. And the spirit turns back into a panda.
Panda. Okay. Yeah. Cute.
His name is Hey Bye, by the way. Hey Bye. It's very cute. He turns back into a panda and walks away, and Aang fixes the spirit. Again, very clipped. This is an entire episode. One of the next things they get up to is, I told you before, he wanted to go to a forest. That was the forest. He also wanted to ride giant koi fish. So this is them doing that. There's the giant koi fish. Pretty big. That's him riding the giant koi fish. With giant koi fish are not predatory animals. Comes giant things that eat the koi fish. They see it. He doesn't. Then he gets attacked. Then they all get attacked by these warriors in green. They look geisha-like a little bit, but they're warriors. And they're all women. They get tied up, hogtied. This guy says, you're on Kyoshi Island. We've stayed out of the war. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I'm the Avatar. I used to be Kyoshi.
Yeah.
They convince him. And then this is one of the scenes where Sokka's like a super misogynist. They're training non-benders. There's very few benders out in the world. They're all mostly on the front lines of the war. So when Aang goes to these places, he doesn't run into many benders. He runs into the civilians and the citizens of the area because all the benders are at war. So they are the Kyoshi warriors. They're like an ancient, 400 years ago was Kyoshi. They're an ancient group that trains in a martial arts style themed around Kyoshi's earthbending. He's like, oh, sorry to interrupt your dance class. I just want to work out. I'm just looking somewhere to work out, because I'm a strong man. And he's like, I don't want to interrupt
It is so funny.
Yeah.
It is so...
And they're like, and she's like, oh, okay. And then kicks his ass a lot. And then this very same episode, which is like episode 4 or 5, he comes back later, apologizes, says that he was ignorant, and says, please teach me. And she says, only if you follow all our traditions, which, yes, involves putting the makeup and the costume on. So Zuko shows up, starts lighting the village on fire, and Sokka and Aang have like an awesome fight with Zuko, which I can't show because we'll get fucked up again. But so we see the statue of Kyoshi in the beginning, and it's pretty and painted, and it's part of in the middle of their village. Now it's on fire. Suki says, I'm sorry. He says, I'm sorry. I should have thought of you as a warrior and not just a girl. And she says, I am a warrior and also a girl. And then she kisses him. Yeah. And she kisses him. And then they're like, you got to run so that he chases you. So they run away. But Aang gets pissed and jumps on that fucking monster and then shoots water on the village. And people are happy. He's like, thank you, Avatar. So we meet some of his past lives, and we're going to meet all these people again in season 2, which is why I wanted to bring them up. But now we also got another piece of the quest that is part of the main storyline, which is Roku needs to talk to him about a comet. So now all we know about the war. So you asked, and if you have any questions about the war, feel free to ask them. You asked, why did the war start? All we know is the Fire Nation is steamrolling everybody. They killed the air nomads first in an unprovoked attack out of nowhere. That's what started the war. And for 100 years, they've been steamrolling the world, essentially. And it has something to do with this comet.
Okay.
Yes, that was Guy warrior makeup, technically, by the culture that they took that from. But like I said, it's an amalgam of everything. So anyway, the next thing we do is go to the fire temple because he learns he has to get to the fire temple by a certain day. So he's like, all right, I got to go there.
Do we get a why in season 1? We get a reason?
Right now, we get a why. Yeah, right now. So at the fire temple, we learn most of the fire temple people who are there to prepare for when the Avatar is born to train him in firebending are actually loyal to the Fire Lord and try to kill Aang, except this one guy who tries to help him. This is like the room where Roku's spirit, is his statue is there. That the room that we saw in the other episode is behind that door.
Okay.
There's trickery to get in. One of the themes that we learn here, and this is the first episode where it starts, is so like you see these 5 holes. Only a powerful firebender can open that door by shooting fire into it, or 5 semi-powerful benders. So there's 5 fire sages. So technically they're the ones that's supposed to be opening it. And Sokka's like, I got an idea. And they rig explosives in the door. So this is the start of Sokka getting these like ideas kind of on how to do. And that's a theme throughout the entire series. Eventually they get in there and he has this experience where he talks to Roku. The comet is so celestial events and nature influence bending.
Okay.
In a way, unlike the one power where it's not really influenced by outside things. It's more tied to science and logic, the way things work in Avatar, which is why I love the magic system. So, water, heavily influenced by the moon and tides and things like that. Fire, the sun. A comet passing through the atmosphere of the planet is pretty big for firebenders. So Roku tells him basically Sozin, the Fire Lord at the time, who was his best friend, learns that this comet's coming in an ancient scroll. It comes once every 100 years, and it will make them, all firebenders, super powerful. So it's only there for like an hour or like 40 minutes or something like that. So while it's there, they attack the air nomads in a simultaneous attack across the whole planet and kill all of them.
Oh.
Which is the same night that Aang ran away. Or
Right.
actually probably within a couple of days. So it comes every 100 years. It's coming by the end of the summer. Roku tells him right here, it usually takes years to master all of the bending. You need to kill the Fire Lord. Kill, not stop him, kill him. And master all the bending arts by the end of the summer before the comet gets there. So now they have their main quest. The why behind the war is the Fire Lord's an asshole. He wants to run away.
I always assumed it was that the Fire Nation wanted to be in power. They knew that the next Avatar was going to be an airbender. So that's why
And they had just been a
fire
firebender.
air nomads. Right.
So they
just
didn't want to give up. Yeah.
So they didn't
That's
want
the
to,
Fire
right.
Lord.
So they knew, so they knew that it was going to be an airbender. So they're like, okay, this is it. We can take them all out and we should get the Avatar. But then the Avatar ran away.
Yeah.
It wasn't there.
So Roku is like, oh, there's Fire Nation people waiting for you back in the temple. I can help you though, since you're here. I can actually like take over your body and use all of my knowledge and power to get you out of this room. So when they break out, because you haven't watched the show, you're not going to recognize him right now. But this is the general that was in that shot when Zuko got his face burned. He's a reoccurring character in season 1. He's one of the main antagonists as well. So him and his army is waiting outside the door. Aang comes out in his avatar form. And this fight is sick. He just destroys all of them. When he comes out, he kind of looks like Roku. Everyone's like, oh my God. He frees his friends without burning them and blows everyone outside of the temple. And then the other fire sages that were bad run away. And now they have their main quest. So Roku told him he's got to learn all of the bending arts before the end of the summer. And right now it's winter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, but also
the next place they go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that also includes a fire. Somebody's got to teach him how to fire bend.
Firebend.
Who in the Fire Nation is going to help out
Will
the
ever
Avatar?
teach him.
Right, like so that's a big thing.
Jesus, Moses chosen one time. Yeah, I mean he's the analogy
everybody.
to Rand is powerful.
Yes, but guys, I gotta go because I do have to go to work tomorrow, and it's almost
okay.
11.
Oh yeah, it's almost 11.
Sorry.
So we're around when we usually end, and we only have about 3 videos left. So, Ebony, good night. We love you.
All right, I'm so happy we're doing this. All right, bye guys,
and we'll see you next week. All right, so they the first thing they do is try to learn water bending. They go through some stuff. They find there's a bunch of little filler episodes where they go on a couple of side quests that are really fun. Pirates are involved. Zuko always kind of shows up every couple of episodes to thwart plans, but always kinds of ends up like not really able to catch him or anything. And they end up in a town where there's a in a fight. Let's do Earth first. So the first thing they do after the water stuff, he goes, all right, we're going to go to Omashu, the capital of the Earth Kingdom, where he used to go with and meet his friend Boomy when he was a kid. Oh, this is a great scene too. they're like, well, you have to disguise yourself now because at this point, now everyone knows the Avatar's alive.
Right. I've heard
And that he's an
that.
airbender. So blue tattoos is kind of a giveaway. So they disguise him in Appa's fur. He looks like an old man. There's a fun little exchange here, which when you watch, it's great. I want to see if I can get his name right. Hold on. If anyone could spell his name, you get bonus points in chat. Someone, if you could spell the name that he uses here. All right. He calls himself Bonzu Pippin Pop Psychopolis. No, Pippin Pop Psychopolis the Third. And without missing a beat, Katara steps up behind him and goes, yes, and I'm Jane Pippin Pop Psychopolis, his granddaughter. And like the way they jive together is really fun in this scene specifically, because without missing a beat, she steps up and feeds in and on it. So this is a flashback when he is talking to his friend Boomy, who's a little crazy. The Earthbenders have like a post system, which is just a series of slides with stone boxes that they bend around so that they could send posts around. Yeah, Katara really is. Oh, good job. Good job. If that's the correct spelling, go ahead and look it up, Rapunzel.
Pippin.
You get bonus points. And Boomy, which is his friend here, tells him, oh, you have to think outside the box. That's not just a postal system. It's the greatest ride in the world. And they go riding around on it. So Aang is like, we got to do that. And they go riding around on it here. Momo gets into a fight with a cat. And this is also where we meet another reoccurring character who's really fun. It has to do with cabbages. You'll see when you watch it. And then they go to see the person they were going to see in the first place, which is the king of the Earth Kingdom, to learn earthbending. The king,
okay.
He's a little crazy. He says, all right, you got to pass my tests.
You have to be worthy.
Yeah. And he says, because they destroyed the cabbages and stuff, they want to punish them. So he says, all right, throw them a feast. And they have a big feast. And that's when he tells them he's going to do the tests. And the tests are ridiculous and involve all kinds of ridiculous things. And one of them involves fighting an earthbender. He has to fight him. And these big earthbenders jump out of nowhere and they're wearing like armor. You can't really see them in this still that I have here. Let me see if I can. No, it doesn't matter. And he says, all right, point to whoever you want to fight. And he points at him, this ragged looking old man, except he's like, haha, I'm the most powerful earthbender in the world. They fight. It's basically a draw because this is how the fight ends. Fantastic fight. The choreography of the fighting in this show, absolutely amazing. I'm going to get to your comment in a second, Marisu. The very last test. Oh, and also he encased Sokka and Katara in this crystal that grows around them. And he's like, it'll kill them if I don't let them out. So you better pass on my test before they die. And the last test is, what is my name? And man, I really want to play this so bad. I feel like if I play like a 5-second clip, we won't get copywritten, but I'm not gonna do it. So he walks away, they talk about it. Sokka's like, I know it. It's Rocky. Because of the rocks and earthbending.
Rocky.
And Katara's like, that's a great guess. And we'll leave that for a backup answer. But we're gonna keep thinking on that. It's just, the way she says it, you're gonna appreciate it as a teacher talking to like a child and not wanting to be like, oh, bless your heart, honey. That's what happens. And then he says, oh, I know who you are. Oh, I know his name. They go in the room. He's like, this scene is very beautiful. I'll pause it in a second. I just want to catch. Okay. They hug and he says, Boomy, you're a mad genius. They hug. It's very beautiful. So that's his friend Boomy. He's 100 years old. And the lesson Boomy was teaching him is he has to think outside the box and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, oh, for all these tests, I had to think outside the box and see what wasn't there and da-da-da. I know who he is. It's Boomy. Oh, Boomy, you're a mad genius. Yes. Boomy with so Marasu, what did you say? Where is that? Boomy is clearly
With
rammed
last
with the
stage
last
change.
stage name. I could
Yeah.
see that, but without the danger. He's not going to kill his family. So even the rocks that he put on Sokka Katara, he breaks them out of it in a second, and is like, "Oh, that's just rock candy," and he breaks them out and just starts eating
He
it.
could have eaten their way out.
Yeah, and then of course Sokka and Momo start eating it. All right, before we jump into another clip, anything jumping out at you?
No, I'm trying desperately to keep. I'm ready to start because I feel like I'll learn the characters more when I'm ready to,
Yeah.
when I can see it.
So basically, we got the main quest. Katara wants to learn to waterbend. There's a war. Bending is getting rarer. The Fire Nation is taking over. Comet is coming. That's the big thing. The firebending teacher he meets in a town. He meets an ex-Fire Nation soldier. The firebending teacher is really cool. I love these scenes. I can't wait for you to watch them. The clips that I saved, it took me hours to do this one because there's so many important things here and funny things. But basically, yeah, he teaches him. He wants to teach him to. Aang wants him to teach him, but he's like, I saw the way you walked into this village, and I know you didn't learn earthbending and waterbending yet, and you need to learn. As an airbender, before you learn firebending, you have to learn waterbending and earthbending because waterbending will teach you one piece of wisdom that you need. And earthbending, like waterbending is fluid and cooling and blah, blah, blah. And earthbending is strong and solid. And fire, like of all of the bending properties, when you push air, you push air. When you move water, but when you're not bending it, water just sits there. Rocks won't throw themselves. But fire, when you create fire, once you stop controlling it, it goes out of control and will consume. It's very dangerous. So to be somebody who wasn't born within them like that, there's a reason why you have to learn in the correct order. So he refuses to teach him. And then they have this little moment where Roku is like, teach him fucking firebending. And he's like, all right. So they go up on the top of this mountain. He's like, all right, start breathing. And he's like, okay, keep breathing. And then he walks away. And then the next scene is it's nighttime. And he's like, I didn't tell you to stop. He's like, but I've been breathing for hours. And this clip is great. He's like, what? You want to stop breathing now?
Yeah.
He apologizes and he's like, yeah, fine. I'll teach you how to actually make fire. So he teaches him. And of course, immediately Aang gets ahead of himself. Katara's like, hey, that's dangerous. Calm down. And since he's a airbender and he's very, playful and wants to explore, that's the very first thing he does. Is he had seen a firebender do something earlier in the season, and he's like, I want to try that. And he accidentally burns Katara. Everyone gets mad at him. He swears to never firebend again, which he really can't do.
Not gonna happen.
And this is when Katara puts her hands in the water and learns that she can heal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is why she's naive. Like she's had this, even in the first episode, she immediately ran to the iceberg and broke Aang out. She caught him, prevented him from falling on his head. She cradled him and took care of him. She brought him to the village. She is naive, but she also throws acorns at their heads and hits them. And no one does that. No one accidentally hurts their friends.
Rule following only.
Yeah, never happens. So this is when Zhang, that's his name, comes out and is like, oh man, you can heal. That's so great. All I can do is burn things and destroy them.
Yeah. Destroy.
So I wish I could be blessed like you and be a waterbender. That's basically, and he's like one of the most accomplished firebenders and ever to have lived. So they're like, wow, she's like, wow, that's crazy. And then she heals Aang, who got a burn when he did the thing too. There's a big fight at the end of this episode too, which is poignant. You'll see when you watch it. But basically, that general that saw Zuko get his face burned, Zhang was his master. And that's why he retired, because that general used what Zhang taught him to be a dick. and that's fire. So now we've done water, kind of, but then it was just them kind of exploring it themselves. Katara trying to teach Aang, and Aang getting it really fast because water's the next thing that he needs to learn. So it's the most like air, which is similar to the threads in the One Power. Air and water are close together and are more alike, where earth and fire are
And
very
fire.
different.
Yep.
Yeah. Except it's not bound to male and female like in the Wheel of Time.
Right.
So she gets angry with him, and because he's getting it faster than she did, and she's teaching him, and blah blah blah. So now they need to go learn waterbending. So they do the thing that he promised in the first episode. We'll go to the Northern Water Tribe, and they go to the Northern Water Tribe. So that's this one. The Northern Water Tribe is very different from the Southern Water Tribe. They're a little bit more militaristic.
Mm-hmm.
They're more like Asian Arctic, like Siberian indigenous people. They're a little bit more warlike, kind of like Mongolian and stuff like that, where the Southern Water Tribe are more like the Americas Arctic indigenous people. But they're all based on Asian or Eurasian cultures. So it's all around that whole continent, or multiple cultures even. So the Northern Water Tribe is beautiful. They have a big giant city behind this wall, and this is why they haven't fallen, because they have this big giant city. This is the master that he wants to learn from. He says he'll teach Aang and his friends. He's like, oh, you're a girl? Never mind. You can't learn to waterbend to fight. You have to heal. Women heal. That's it. And Katara doesn't like that. There's a great comeuppance in this episode, which we can't show because I'll get copyrighted again. But Katara basically proves him wrong. They fight. He respects her, ends up training her. It's pretty great. While they're here, though, Sokka sees another girl. Now, Sokka is where Aang is like a 12-year-old. Sokka is 16. So his hormones are going, which is why he's so, off the walls and
Obnoxious.
stuff. Yeah. And he's obnoxious is the perfect description. But also he's interested in girls. So he sees this pretty girl and he's like, oh my God. And immediately, he's like, oh, smitten. What's up?
I was just laughing at the face.
Oh, yeah. We find out she's Princess Yue, the princess of the Northern Water Tribe, not a bender. They have chemistry. They meet, and there's chemistry there. She likes him. He likes her. They know that the Fire Nation is coming to attack them. He's telling people about Sozin's comment at this point, but there's going to be a full moon. And we talked about
how that's going to change. The water of the tides.
So full moon makes waterbenders really strong. Sokka and her meet up for a late night rendezvous. There's a kiss. He ends up taking her up on Appa, which is great because flying is not a thing anywhere. So to be able to fly on a flying bison is really cool. And then they see snow mixed with soot. So they know what's coming. Or Sokka does, because he's got experience in this.
Ooh.
There's the kiss. And then she says, oh, but I'm engaged. So in an arranged marriage. So I have to do this because I'm the princess. So we can't see each other anymore. Zuko has gone through some shit. I skipped over a lot of him. I won't go into it. You'll see it when you watch season 1, but he has gone through some shit. We think he's dead at this point. Or actually, we think he's dead at this point. This is us finding out he is not dead.
He's okay.
Iroh has known he's alive the whole time and has been planning a thing with him. And this is them first showing us that Zuko isn't dead. He's all fucked up. He's got a black eye. He's got cuts all over his face. And he's like, don't worry, bide your time. We'll do the thing. The Fire Nation sews up with Admiral Zhao. And that's how that episode ends.
Wow, okay.
any questions yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm ready to watch.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. So I'm not going to go through all. I broke the final part into 4 episodes because that's how long it is. But to make a long story short, Princess Yue of the Northern Water Tribe was stillborn, and there are magical koi fish that live in the Northern Water Tribe, and they healed her, and her hair turned white, and she came alive when they put her in the water. They said that part of the moon spirit lives within her, and that's how she came alive again.
Okay.
The fire dude, they find out that the fire dude wants to come and kill the fish that are in that koi pond, and Aang needs to find the moon and ocean spirits because he needs their help to fight the Fire Nation. So he meditates and goes into the spirit world. Those are the fish. Aang meditates here. There's a big fight. Zuko comes in. There's a big fight. Katara and him. Really great fight. Choreography in the fight is amazing. Zuko steals Aang. That's a problem because when Aang comes back here looking for his body, it's not going to be here. So he's going to be stuck in the spirit world. So this is them being sad about losing Aang's body. This is Aang in the spirit world. It's a lot of fun. He meets this guy who's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm meditating. Leave me alone. And then he's like, follow that light. It's Roku. Roku's like, find this ancient spirit. He's the only one old enough to know where the sea and moon are. This is Zuko with Aang's body. Zuko is like, my father told me that my sister was born lucky because she's the best firebender and blah, blah, blah. And he said I was lucky to be born. And like, family trauma.
Yep.
And this is the Fire Nation not destroying, but pretty much doing a good job at breaking the city. Admiral Zhao tells Iroh he's going to kill the moon spirit. He discovered in an ancient scroll in a temple buried in the desert when he was a kid that where the moon and ocean spirit are in the world, and he can kill them, and that they can be killed. Iroh's like, you can't fuck with the spirits. Don't do that. Aang finds this monkey with no face when he's looking for the ancient spirit that'll tell him about stuff. And we find out that the ancient spirit is this horrible worm creature that steals people's faces. And if Aang displays any emotion, he'll steal Aang's face and kill him, and he'll be stuck there forever. So he tells him that the ocean spirits are the koi fish, and their names are Tui and La, push and pull, life and death, yin and yang, so on and so forth. A lot of real fun story building there.
Yeah.
That I can't show you because content violations. At the same time, we go back and forth to Sokka and Katara looking for Aang's body. He tells Aang, you got to go save the fish. Aang's like, all right, thanks. But he can't, display any emotion because then he'll steal his face. And this is 2 episodes that I had to break up into 4 3-minute videos. But anyway,
Aang, were these the longer ones?
Yeah, these ones were 4 minutes apiece. This one's 5 minutes. But anyway, he's like, all right, you got to get back to your body. And he's like, I have a friend that'll help you. It's Heibai. Heibai comes and helps him get back to his body. So he sends him back to his body. And then that monkey is like, good riddance. And Heibai's like, fuck you, bitch. Discovers his body's gone. Finds his body. They break out. Zuko gets knocked out by Katara. Pretty good fight. But then Zhao comes and takes the moon spirit, making everything like this, a blood moon. He gets threatened by everybody, basically. Yue, Princess Yue and Aang are both like, oh my God, something's happening. This is when she tells him the story about when she was healed. That's her being placed in the water. He gets threatened. Momo comes and fucks with him, which is fantastic. Even Uncle Iroh is like, I have to protect the spirits. You can't upset the balance. Even the Fire Nation needs the moon. He's like, all right, I'll release the fish. And he releases the fish, but then kills the fish. So the moon actually hold on. The moon actually winks out of existence and it's gone forever.
Wow.
Like it's gone. Like the moon is gone. Everything then goes in black and white, which is pretty cool. But when they use the fire, it gets illuminated. It's really cool
Wow.
because fire is also of the spirit and it gives life and it's not just destruct. It's really, there's a lot of fun stuff layered in here. Anyway, Aang gets really angry, goes into his avatar form, and the spirit of the ocean, which is the blackfish that's in there, merges with him, and he turns into a giant fish monster.
Oh my god.
A kaiju, essentially. And he goes out and fucks up the fire navy. Like he's out there just fucking shit up. And then Yue's like, I got to give my life back to the fish. And this is a beautiful scene, and I'm gonna not do it justice by telling you what happens. But basically, yes, Koizilla is absolutely apt. But Yue sacrifices herself, and she dies, and the fish is healed. And then we get this beautiful scene. So she does that, she dies, but then let me get past. So yeah, he's fucking up the fire navy, but then she disappears. The fish comes back to life. So everything's good. Moon comes
There's light
back.
in the world. Yeah. There's light in the world.
It's all light. Everything is based around light. Yue becomes the moon spirit, tells Sokka she'll always be with him, flies up into the sky, and the moon is back. The fight goes exactly how you would think it would go for a giant. So this is basically the end of season 2 of Wheel of Time. Moraine fucking up the Shanshin with the fire.
Yeah.
Aang single-handedly just defeats the entire fire navy with that. And then on his way back, the fish spirit decides to make a stop and grab Admiral Zhao and drag him into the water, and he's never seen or heard from again. We see the master. Katara's like, basically, Aang still needs to learn waterbending, and the master says, well, Aang better get used to calling you Master Katara then, because that's how good you are. So we see that he has broken his misogynistic, stupid ways in this one episode, which is great. This is Yue's dad, very sad, but happy and proud of her for being the moon. We get Zuko being his uncle's like, I notice you're not going after the Avatar. And he's like, it's not time for that. And he's very proud of him for that. Zuko takes a nap. And then the hook for the last episode is this scene. We see, hold on, let me see if I can actually just play this. All right, so we see this. Fire Lord, you'll remember this from when Zuko interrupted the general. Your uncle Iroh is a traitor. Your brother is a failure. You need to go catch and kill the Avatar. Azula. Princess Azula. So that's the hook. That's how the last episode of season 1 ends. And that's the hook for season 2.
Wow. How, like, what is the timeline that the show takes? Like, how long does the story take to tell?
It's
does
about
that make sense? Like, is it over the course of a year?
Yeah.
Or
about a year. Yeah, less than a year. Less than a year. So chat, if there's anything you think I missed from season 1 that that Crystal should know, even though she's going to go and watch it before next week, let us know. Yes, Mark Hamill does a voice in season 2. Yes, Bai Zhao. Yeah, he was a douche. I can definitely see some of the animals in the show being Pokemon, 100%. But yeah, only about the, like, so it's winter and Aang needs to do this before the comet hits.
Yeah.
So before the end of the summer. So before fall. So it's less than a year.
Okay.
Ish. You'll see when we actually watch season 2. But yay! I'm glad you did, Iris Bear. I'm sorry that it had to just be me telling you guys everything. I didn't want to do that and just have me talking. One, because I'm sick, obviously, but two, because that's not fun. I mean, I don't want to listen to me talk ever, but just having someone sit here and talk the whole time isn't fun. I had a lot of clips and the jokes were in there, but whatever. Fucking Nickelodeon and Netflix probably.
Yeah.
Avatar: Last Airbender, though, like I said, literally, it's one of my go-to shows. Like when I'm having a bad day, when I'm sad, I put Avatar: Last Airbender on.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm more excited than I was when we picked it.
I'm glad. I was hoping we can get you there. And I saw Noman Garden mention earlier in chat, I forgot to star it, that he's actually on episode 19 now. So he's almost done with season 1. He got a little bit of a spoiler, obviously, for the last episode there, but still fantastic. Like when you watch it, and Noman Garden, please watch that last episode because I cut out a lot. Oh, episode 9, sorry. I thought I saw 19. Anyway, please watch that first season. Like I said, they're only 23-minute episodes. I cut out so much, but so good. So good. You've never seen it? Oh man, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you get to
end up. I'm not watching it, right? The poll ended up I'm not watching it.
You're not watching season 2.
Okay.
So watch season 1, but not season 2.
Okay, so we'll need to have a graphic for that so that like when you guys, if you want to talk spoilers, I can peace out. So I don't want season 2 ruined.
In place of our, spoilery, non-spoilery level stuff for over here, I'll have, don't spoil past episode, whatever we're on.
Perfect.
I have that one right now. I'll just leave that up. That's fine.
Cute.
Yeah, so chat, I didn't see anything come up in chat that said anything that we missed. Yeah, there are 2 episodes that are out now, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, these watch-alongs were something that we kind of started in the pandemic, and we started obviously with the Wheel Time season 1 and prep for season 2. And when we were stopping, a lot of people in chat were like, "Oh, I'm so sad that this was going away." And then someone, I forgot who it was, sent a message to the Dragon Mount Instagram and was like, "I'm sad you guys aren't going to do this anymore because I don't have anyone locally that I watch these types of shows with." And this felt like watching these types of shows like with my friends on a couch. And if there's anything you know about me is that I'm a gigantic softie. So if you say something like that, I'm like, all right. And for the last 2 years, we've been doing rewatches of other stuff because of that one person who I don't remember who it was. But yeah, so that's why we're doing this. That's why it's not just all Wheel of Time content on this one channel that we do. But it's, there's a lot of overlap here, and I try to use the analogies of Wheel of Time in the stuff a lot, and you can really see it. Like it's not. I don't have to force it, but you can really see it. So I'm excited for next week. Iris Bear, I'm excited for you to have 2 people at least, and Noman Garden, 3 people that are getting to see Avatar for the first time and experience it, because it's such a good show. The writing is so amazing. It's just so good. Every time someone's like, "Oh, it's a cartoon, I don't want to watch it," I'm like, "Oh my God." Anyway. As I usually do for next week's thing, I didn't make the graphic because sick, and I spent an entire day making clips to watch. We are going to have someone that we had join us last time for season 2 of Wheel of Time, and that's Reverse BLT over on YouTube. I will share a link to his stuff in a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. I loved. I saw his stuff pop up in my YouTube feed, because he was rewatching Andor, and at that time I was also watching Andor, and I was like, I like this guy. And then I saw that he had done a Wheel of Time one, so I looked up his thoughts on the Wheel of Time show, and I was like, this guy's fucking cool. And because we have a business account, I can message people, and I was like, hey. Do you want to do an episode of the show that I do with me? And he was like, yeah. And now we're like chill. Him and I like talk every now and then. And I was like, hey, we're doing Avatar. You want to do it? And he's like, absolutely. So he's going to join us next week. And I can't. Why can't I? Oh, here we go. I'm going to link his Patreon in chat right now, which has links to his YouTube and all his socials and stuff. Go check him out. He's pretty fantastic. Toss him a follow and, say something like hi from Dragon Man or something so that, he's like, oh, Dragon Man sent me people. But he's a lot of fun. So he's going to join us next week. He's going to kick off episode 1 and 2 of book 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which pretty much picks up right where we left off.
Okay.
What else do we have for people? Oh, before we go, I just want to share 2 things that Dragon Mount shared during the week, which I thought were really funny. I forgot that they were in here, but I just saw them again. So, as most people know, it is the year of the dragon, which is the Chinese zodiacs, and the idea of their being is heavily influenced in Avatar, but also in the Wheel of Time. So Dragon Mount shared this post mainly because Amazon shared a post of like Year of the Dragon and posted a bunch of their properties that have dragons in them and not Wheel of Time. They didn't have Rand on there at all. So Dragon Mount had a which I'm not sure who did it. The social media team did it. Was like, hey, you forgot one, and did a whole Rand al'Thor version, but it was great. So yeah, it's the Year of the Dragon 2024. Those who are Year of the Dragon, this is your year. And also for those, I hope no one lost too much money in the sports ball game that was this weekend, where Taylor Swift's boyfriend competed against the San Francisco 49ers, went against the racially insensitive team from San Francisco. Kansas City.
Kansas City. Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, but they shared a another thing that was for the Super Bowl. That was the bowl wins. I thought that was funny because I'm a sucker for puns. Oh man. So look for more of my head waxing videos on my personal TikTok, which if you go to my Instagram and stuff like that, which you could find on Dragon Mount, there's links to it there. And I'll see everyone next week, I think, right? That's it.
Bye guys.
Say goodnight, Crystal.
Good night, Crystal.